Hello, it's Isaac. I just finished a week-long practice of Stoicism, and I wanted to share my thoughts and my experience. Uh, just want to give a caveat. Obviously, a week is not a long enough time to engage in any life philosophy, especially one as thought-provoking as Stoicism. But I do think I got the gist of it. I think, and I have engaged in Stoic ideas before in the past, so this was a good first life philosophy to try on this journey that I'm taking right now. But yeah, overall, I love Stoicism. I think it's a great way to live your life. If you really feel like you don't have any control in your life and you're lacking some autonomy, I would say try Stoicism. It seems like the perfect cure for someone that feels like they don't have control. I don't think it's a perfect philosophy. I do have some criticisms, but they're very slight. I think overall this is probably one of the better philosophies that you can adopt for your life. I love the idea of living in accordance to nature, which, to my understanding, is the main tenet of Stoicism. And according to the Stoics, we are rational. That's what distinguishes us from animals. So living according to human nature would be acting rationally, which therefore means virtuously, which, yeah, I mean, I think that's great. I think that is a big distinguishing thing from us and animals. I do think it is a little simplistic to try to say that we as humans have one major function, or like we can only flourish in one way. You can only experience eudaimonia through rationality. I think rationality is half of the picture. I think they do point out that we are animals and we are humans. I kind of try to talk about this in my last video, but I feel like they admit they were animals, but then they don't do anything about it. Like I think you need to both be rational and also let yourself go to your urges and your experience of eros and of life, just like in your soul. I feel like rationality leads to a well-lived life, and one that you can look back on and be like, oh, that is a good life. I feel so satisfied. But there's moments where I don't think it's bad. I think it's probably good, honestly, to not think about your whole life and just be fully in the present, I'm feeling good right now. I'm just completely free. I'm jumping, I'm moving, I'm doing whatever makes you feel that way. That I feel like Stoicism doesn't touch on that part of life. So my practice this week was, when I'd get up at like 6:30. I'd go to the park, try to be in nature. I know that's not what living in accordance to nature means. It means rationality, but I do think it makes me really happy to wake up with the sun, to listen to my body, to be outside. I think that stuff's great. But I'd wake up 6 o'clock, go to the park, and then I would journal, just stream of consciousness, free thoughts, to try to see, what my mind is at, what I'm thinking about, see if Stoicism could solve any of my problems, which it did sometimes. Try to view these thoughts in an objective manner. But during the actual stream of consciousness, I didn't have any judgment or anything. It was just free writing. And then after that, I would write the 4 virtues according to Stoicism: wisdom, justice, courage, temperance. And I would look back on the day before, reflect on what I could have done better, what I did do good, in accordance to those virtues. And I tried to not be goal-oriented. I tried to be process-oriented, which I feel like that's Stoicism. Regardless, I think it's a good way to view life. And yeah, that was great. I think even if one of those 4 virtues aren't like your highest virtue, I think a daily habit or daily practice of looking at something that is beyond yourself, something that brings goodness to the world, such as a virtue, and reflecting on how you could have lived up to that virtue and done that action more or less is great. And I forgot who said it, but when I was reading Stoicism this week, there is something about a virtue is something that can't be used for bad, which I thought was a good quote. So pick one of those things. Because like justice, if it was truly justice, it wouldn't lead to a bad outcome. It'd be a just outcome, and that's always going to be good. Yeah, I feel like a lot of those things, or not a lot, all 4 of those things, especially wisdom and justice, I find it's kind of hard to understand intellectually. I feel like there's so many different variables and things that could come from a just act or a wise act that it's almost intuitive when you are being just or wise, which I think is interesting. But I do think the daily practice of reflection and thinking about it does lead you to, on the whole, be a more wise and just person. And then after I did the journaling, I would engage in some morbid thoughts. I would think about death. I would think about myself dying. This was in a somewhat meditative state. I would have my eyes closed, sitting upright. And then I would think about everyone that I love dying. I think about nuclear bombs sometimes. Just it all ending, because that's nature. That's what happens. And it definitely sets a fire under your ass, because it puts things into perspective. Recently, I've just naturally been kind of terrified by death. Most of my life, I've been pretty chill with it. I was like, yeah, when I die, I die. But I had this experience that made me think I was gonna die a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I accepted death, kind of, but I was like, man, I have so much I need to do still. So I've been trying to deal with that. This practice definitely wasn't helping with the fear that I've been experiencing. But I think the fear is almost good, because it does. I mean, it makes you not care about most things, because most things don't matter at all. It's just like social games and just bullshit, really. And it does make you care about the things that are important. It makes you say I love you to your family whenever you can, and appreciate them every more. But yeah, so I do like memento mori and the practice of reflecting on death. And yeah, there was a moment when this past week where my friends got in somewhat of a tiff, I guess. There was some drama, and I was involved in it, kind of on the outside, but I still was involved in it, and I was emotional about it. And then I stepped back, and then I tried to implement the Stoic practices that I was engaging with, and it did help a lot. I tried to remove myself from stuff that wasn't actually happening. You know, I had a certain thought because I was emotional about someone's actions and why they were doing what they were doing. And then I took a second to feel the emotion and to see where that was pointing me towards. And I then tested, I was like, does this logically make sense, or is it just an emotion that I'm feeling and I'm becoming paranoid or such and such because of it? And yeah, I was. It wasn't. And then afterwards I said, okay, this person, I want to give them love. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt because there's no reason they don't deserve that just because I'm mad at them. And I think it helped that situation a lot. So I think moments like that, Stoicism is great. Whenever, you know, you have a decision anytime you get reactive or emotional, to let the emotion consume you, which sometimes is good, honestly. That's when I feel most alive sometimes. But usually the emotion is not pointing you towards the truth. I think it's pointing you towards your own egoic feelings on the matter, and they're usually pertaining to stuff that isn't important. So, yeah, that was good. Because I feel like that's also like the main thing of Stoicism is if you're living in accordance to nature, you realize that your thoughts and emotions, they're just thoughts and emotions. They're not actually an objective thing. It's all subjective. And it leads you to unhappiness. It leads you to suffering. It's kind of reminds me of some Eastern philosophy, which is interesting. I do feel like another criticism I have, and I don't think this is even Stoicism, but more, maybe I could see someone interpreting Stoicism this way, would be in an almost ableist eugenics kind of way, where if you're valuing someone living in accordance to nature, if that's your like how you evaluate a human being, you would probably look down upon someone that relies on something outside of nature to be alive. Or does that make sense? I might be totally off the bat here, but I could see someone interpreting the living in accordance to nature down that light, and I think that's bad. I think anytime we add value to something, I don't think anything intrinsically has value. I think it is it's the subject adding meaning and value to something. I think that's and that's not to say that meaning and value is not real or not important, but it's not an objective thing in my opinion. Yeah. But yeah, overall, I had a great week. It was exhausting making a video every day, but it was super fun and fulfilling, so I'm gonna keep doing it. And yeah, let me know if I got anything wrong, if I forgot anything. Again, it was just a week, so I wish I could engage in it more, but on to the next one. Now we're going to be doing Epicureanism, I believe. And yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear your criticisms. And let's have a conversation. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.